We meet this woman in 2 Kings chapter 4. She lost her husband, so now she's a widow. But if you think it's just grieving on her plate, then forget it. You see, there's this guy coming round to pick up the credit. The guy's at the door, and though it sounds pretty cold, he's come to settle the debt that her late husband had owed. Bailiff or bank manager, who knows? But he was a godly man, the husband, that's what the text shows. With the threat of her children being put into slavery, she cries out to Elisha for guidance and mercy. "All right," says Elisha, "what have you got?" The widow's response is, "Well, not a lot." Maybe her husband borrowed more than he could manage, but I don't think they were extravagant purchases just gathering dust in the garage. I don't think they had a fancy Top Gear tested car. What did she have, you ask? Well, just oil in a jar. "Right," says Elisha, "you've got oil in a jar. Go to your neighbours near and far and go with this plan. Borrow their jars, their pots and their pans." Now you got the jars, the pans and the pots. Fill each one with oil right to the top. Fill it to the brim, and when that's done, set it aside and fill up the next one. And so they continued until they were empty. Not of oil, but of jars, and so now they had plenty. "What now?" asked the widow. "What do we do next?" "Sell on your oil jar and pay off the debt. Pay off your bills, settle your debt, get back in the black and live off what's left." Hold on, let's backtrack. How did she get back in the proverbial black? With a measly jar of oil? What, by borrowing neighbours' pots and pans that bring veg to the boil? And what then? That same jar of oil someone multiplied to 10, or probably more. When the widow had the cash and the bailiff was at the door, she had to scrape his jaw off the floor. But here's the thing, she cries out for counsel in a moment of need. She gets godly guidance and takes Elisha's lead. She could have frozen with fear of financial demands. She could have ignored it and buried her head in the sands, but instead she trusts Elisha and his neighbour knocking plans. Instead she picks up the jars and the pots and their pans. The outcome is positive, providence, good news. But let's address one of the issues. Maybe the oil was worth a few quid. But for the point of the story, let me open the lid to the widow's character and her clearance of anything but her faithful obedience. I believe God brought the miracle, and He is still able. But maybe like the widow, it's about what we bring to the table. When money's tight and we're scraping the barrel, do we turn to God in His Word or speak to Him through our open prayer channel? Seeking wise counsel is good common sense, but if we don't involve God, that's our biggest expense. Maybe you're struggling to keep up with payments. Know that God loves you and made the ultimate payment. Maybe you're feeling trapped by high interest debt. Know that if you want it, your biggest debt has been met. If you can't cope, if you feel enslaved, know there's always hope because Jesus rose from the grave. You see, we weren't meant to be prisoners of unmanageable debt and fees. So let us turn to God for guidance because He came to set us free.